it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting obtrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and
Dave?
they can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
okay,
we know they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I continue this before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, he's not a loser.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. I am your host, the infallible Phil S. Marks, and you are the PWT Universe. Welcome to the show, guys. This episode is dedicated to Dave Meltzer lying about the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view buys. Now, there is some other interesting things that Dave has said and done over the last week or so that we will cover, but I'll do it on another show. Tonight, we are going to focus on Dave Meltzer lying about the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view buys, and we are going to dive deep into that, of course, featuring Bryan Alvarez. And if you want some bonus Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week, head over to patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times. There's a bonus episode. It's like 3.5 hours. JJ Alexander joined me. I went over the Chris Van Vliet interview where Dave Meltzer attempts to explain his star ratings. Patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times. I uploaded today, or last night, actually. There was another Botchamania watch along uploaded there. So season 2 of Tough Enough watch alongs coming soon as well. I am Phil S. Marks. Make sure you vote in the poll, hit like, subscribe. You can super chat in. You can become a member for 99 cents. I do bonus shows every week. Patreons get bonus show access too. And or hit heart or retweet or any of that good stuff. Tell a friend, grab your flute. The most important thing you do though is grab that flute, polish it up real nice, turn that sumbitch sideways and play it. Because it is time for everybody's favorite segment turn show, and it is called Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week. And we hit him with an E flute. So, ladies and gentlemen, AEW Double or Nothing went down. And of course, we are in a time where Dave Meltzer is really sweating the prospect of AEW losing their TV deal or, a lot of cope over whether or not David Zaslav told them, hey, you guys, we're not going to renew ya and all of these things. And Tony Khan's been coping and saying like, oh, I can't wait till they go to Paramount and I can't wait till we're all under one roof. HBO, TBS, TNT. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. And a lot of people have been trying to warn Tone, like, this is going to blow up in your face, dude. I don't think this is really going to work out. And it doesn't mean all is lost for AEW. I mean, I'm sure someone, somewhere, some way, somehow, I'm going to make it all right, but not right now. Someone's going to pick AEW up. If TNA can get a TV deal, I mean, AEW can as well, but it's going to be their Pop TV era. I think he's suiting up to put everything on my AEW. And, Dave's been coping about that. He's been working extra hard, double, triple time to put over Darby Allin's title reign and every little booking decision that Tony Khan's done, and talk about how WWE's in a lull and the peak is over and AEW is just so hot right now, and it's a resurgence. And obviously, he said, "Yo, the pre-buys for Double or Nothing are through the roof," and now he's saying it's one of the best pay-per-views, whatever. So we're gonna look at some numbers. Nicolo Piccolo and Switchblade teamed up, once enemies, now fucking friends. Okay, teamed up to felt Dave Meltzer, at least for Dave's sake, right? Like, I don't know if they don't need to like each other beyond that, but to make fun of fucking Dave, that is hilarious that they joined forces and started pulling pay-per-view numbers, which Switchblade always does. We cover them on PWT Live Show every Wednesday and Saturday night. And Dave just makes up shit that nobody can verify, right? Like, he even sits there on a show and he's like, I know that it's going to be this thing that I know.
The only
literally.
reason I know about this is because of I know about it.
And he doesn't like pull up a chart or a video. He doesn't pull up a clip. He doesn't jump into his Philmarks bookmarks and start fucking reading shit that he saved from other people. Nothing like that. He can't prove goddamn anything that he ever talks about. Okay. And so, this was translated from Spanish. Dave Meltzer had this to say: one of the reasons why WWE is talking so much about Paramount not renewing with AEW is because they're seeking to gain greater negotiating power in case they want to sign any wrestler from the competition. It's said that WWE wants the AEW wrestlers to believe that he doesn't have a secure future where he is, and that this will help them handle a hypothetical negotiation. So instead of being like, hey, Nicolo Piccolo and Phil Marks and Switchblade and all these people who've been felting you over these fucking pay-per-view numbers, instead of making it about them or us, rather, they make it WWE's bad and they're the ones leaking these stories. And we've covered all this, but just to reiterate, it's like, instead of saying Nicolo Piccolo said all this stuff about Paramount not renewing and you know, breaks down all this math about, or fucking looks at the numbers and does all of these calculations, or uses his inside perspective to explain like what he's heard and what you know, what the possibilities, just lays out the possibilities, good or bad, for AEW. Instead of that, it's like WWE's leaking it out, and then Tone's able to address it, then Dave's able to melt down about it, and all of these fucking things, right? So, as we covered on PWT Live Show, Time Cop, you know, Zaslav, like, okay, WBD never denied officially doing anything in any professional capacity, or pardon me, they denied doing anything in an official professional capacity. They never denied, like, hey, bro, someone calls up Tone, hey, bro, just so you know, like, you're not going to get renewed, dude. Just start looking around. We're hoping to close this deal by summertime, right? And that's what Nick was saying. Now, what is like Deadline and Hollywood Reporter and shit writing about this week? That and how the DOJ doesn't find anything wrong with Paramount merging with Warner Bros. Or whatever, even though people like in Hollywood were trying to block that from happening and whatnot, right? So apparently the rumors out there in the entertainment world, beyond pro wrestling and the pro wrestling bubble, is that, yeah, they want to get this deal done by September, the latest, as far as Paramount acquiring WBD. Okay, so it could be sooner than later than what people thought, and that they want to get this deal done in the summertime, but the latest is like September or whatever, right? So again, Dave has just been off on all of this. It's bad WWE, because this is all he knows. All he knows is what he knows.
The only reason I know about this is because of I know about it.
Okay, what he knows is just what he knows about, okay? And that's pro wrestling and grifting. So we move along here, and we're going to kind of just be all over the place with stuff, okay? But we're going to start with this here, this clip of Dave Meltzer. This was before Double or Nothing went down, and he said, it's becoming difficult to determine the success of wrestling companies with the ratings formula changing constantly. Now, I disagree. Again, I think that you can look to attendances, Okay, it's a live touring show. You can look at that. You can look at social media impressions. You can look at trends. We're going to talk all about trends in a minute here, chat. Buckle in.
Double or Nothing show is at over 14,000 tickets out. It is currently set up for 14,823. So it's probably
and
going
also, Dave's going to glaze the shit out of Double or Nothing throughout this episode. Be ready.
Be a sellout. And obviously that's great, and I'm sure the pay-per-view is going to do very well. Dynamite, however, is not doing well at all for the go-home show. And keep in mind, this is a combo show. You have 2 hours of Dynamite and 1 hour of Collision. It's from Portland, Maine, and they're 22.73. And the average for the
fucking terrible. It's almost like MJF drew a house in New York.
Year is 32.64. So they're like 1,000 tickets below average for the Dynamite show here. And really, I mean...
And then Dave talks about TV ratings when Bry's trying to talk about attendances. Even though AEW's lowered their ticket prices and smaller buildings, and you should check us out, bud. We're cheap and for the children, bud.
I know Dave loves to talk
That's MJF. That's my MJF impression.
Ratings. When he returns, he'll talk a lot about the ratings. But to me...
Oh, I guess it's just Bry. So I was saying Dave was saying this, but here's Bry. It's try Brian. Try to get it over.
If you want to judge the success or failure of Dynamite, of Raw, of SmackDown, of NXT, of wherever, I think you've got to look at things like, all right, how many tickets are sold to the event? How many people purchased it if we get pay-per-view? But like since September, when Big Data plus Panel decided to change everything, and I don't know if it's actually a half dozen times.
And here's the thing, too. So he's saying since April. So Dave is the only person, nobody's corroborated this, what Dave Meltzer said, that at the end of April, they also changed Nielsen again. And Raj Giri was on 83 weeks, and he was like, that's why at the end of my stuff, I write apparently. Apparently Nielsen changed their methods again because there's nobody who's corroborated this or fact checked this at all.
They have tweaked the formula at least 3 times in September, and every time, they make one tweak, it's great for wrestling. They make another tweak, it's terrible for wrestling. They make another tweak, it's great for people who are over 50 watching wrestling. They make another tweak, now all these shows are dying.
Yeah, so why do we care about that? Well, the ad revenue, the ad agencies pay more for blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up, Dave. You don't even know what you're talking about, okay? Like, you don't even know what the key demo is anymore. It's way different. Everything's way different now, streaming and online. You have to look at social media impressions and attendances and shit. Not even just impressions, but I use that as just a vague general term, right?
Again, it's like, what can we learn from this? Because we can't actually chart. Like, it was one thing before. Whatever you think of Nielsen.
Yeah, you just look at the number and then compare it to other wrestling shows and then just look at the attendances and shit. That's how you know if it did good. Otherwise, you can't go based off the invisible HBO Max. Bri, it's not that hard to figure out what you want to say, Bri. And I know you're trying, Bri. Okay, I know you're trying. But what you want to say is, Dave, you're a stupid idiot, and you need to shut up about TV ratings, and everybody does. None of this fucking matters. Look at the attendances and all of these things. Dave needs to stop peddling this stuff, right? But you can't say that to Dave because then you get in a bitch fit fight.
Whatever you think about it, the fact is, you could at least, as long as whatever they were doing was consistent, you could track year over year. Okay, well, whatever you think about it, it's, they're doing better this year than they were last year. Well, when you've got Nielsen and they're constantly tweaking the formula, and
we don't even know. Dave might have just made that up. Again, no one's corroborated that.
1 week the show's doing a 0.14. The next week, all of a sudden they do a tweak and it's doing a 0.08. It's like, how can you determine whether anything's doing any good or not?
You fucking can't, bud. You fucking can't. By looking at those ratings, you got to look at other things, other metrics. Okay. So we move along.
Double or Nothing.
And again, Dave always spins for AEW like number 7 for the night per Programming Insider, behind Fox News, NBA, and NHL for 4th. But it's like Fox News isn't a show. So this guy's saying number 7 because Fox News is fucking 4 shows. But he goes Fox News, NBA, and NHL for 4th. That's what Dave does. It's just spinning, twisting the narrative, constantly lying, and that's what he's been doing. Darby Allin's title run's been spectacular, man. It's just all geared towards painting this narrative. He knows the TV deal is coming up. He knows that it's going to be trying to convert everyone to my AEW and shit. He knows that, and they're all coping instead of just full force focusing on get everyone to my AEW now as quick as we can. They're just still trying to be like, no, it's all good. Keep watching on Max or whatever the fuck. Keep watching on TNT, TBS every Wednesday. It's crazy, man. It's actually nuts. So, again, Tony Khan was asked if AEW's profitable right now. Tony Khan said revenue is the highest it's ever been and is the strongest financial outlook for the company. So, no, the answer is no, it's not profitable. They're making good revenue, sure, whatever. And it's not a bad thing. So I wrote this. It's not even a bad thing they're not profitable. It's just the sicko cope insisting otherwise. That's the problem. Also, Dave lying about how much money they've been raking in. All it's done is confirm how credulous he is. And he and Wrestling Observer sycophants are, while creating false expectations that won't be met, thus making AEW and Tony Khan look stupid. So I'm going to bat for AEW there. People just get mad when you say shit like that. So Raj Giri responds to these spins. He's like, Dave, Fox News is not a show. It's a channel that airs shows, some of which are popular than others. Dynamite was number 7 in cable primetime for the night, behind the NBA playoffs, ESPN, NBA courtside, the NHL playoffs, 2 episodes of Hannity and Jesse Waters primetime. You know what I'm saying? So he just bundles it up. That's why it's a grift, dude. It's a small, petty scam. Like, that's just putting out a lie tweet. He's got everyone blocked who will challenge him, or he ignores them or mutes them. And then fucking his sycophants lap that up and go, no, Dave's telling the truth. No, it's the sickos repeat that. And it's literal fake fucking news. It's crazy. It's actually madness. So we're going to actually dive into some numbers. But again, Dave Meltzer goes, at this moment, there are 340,000 people watching prelims for Netflix on YouTube. It's a good number. So again, he's looking at YouTube numbers here when it comes to the Ronda Rousey Gina fight and whatnot. I am going to leave this in the bookmarks because next week, or maybe I'll do a bonus show or something, or maybe we'll just do a quick segment on one of the live shows. But Dave talks about the Ronda Gina Netflix stuff. We'll talk about that later in his thoughts on it. I only want to bring this up to show you guys. He looks at the YouTube numbers when it comes to other shit. He looks at Google Trends when it comes to felting TNA and shit. We're going to get into in a little bit how he doesn't do it when it comes to AEW and how that's very telling of what their pay-per-view numbers could be. But if he looked at them, it would look like he's lying, So here's Dave Meltzer coping about AEW's media rights. Okay, so let's take a listen.
They get booted, or they're going to get a deal, but not for any more money. And because of that, they're going to be just deep in the red. So deep in the red. Tony's going to lose all this money, which, the funny part of all this.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that.
If that actually was the case,
they are deep in the red.
Money. It's like, if you've ever, I mean, Tony's really in on this. Like, this is his life.
What does that even mean?
And he's doing his dream. And
he
is so, and the family, they are worth so much money that.
So, listen to the cope. They're going to be so deep in the red. No, dude, they've been operating in the red. That's all anyone's saying. And early on, they went deep in the red. And to come back and actually be profitable, if you factor in all 7 years thus far, it's probably deep in the red. You just got to be honest. Dave's like, they won't get a deal for any more money. Right, Dave? They will not get a upwards $185 million deal again. It just won't happen. Just won't happen. Okay? Will not happen. And then Dave is like, well, his family makes so much money from what? Owning the patent on car bumpers or whatever? Okay, what the fuck does that have to do with AEW? He's making so much money and he's deep in his bag, man. This is his dream to do this. Okay, yeah, so you're admitting he will. So they're not in the green. Like Tony Khan's life, him as a human being isn't in the red. But AEW's not in the green, right? And Tone will always be in the green. And because of that, his wealth, he is worth more than fucking all of AEW combined. So he can, right, him and his family will keep it in the green. Right. Okay. That nobody's arguing that, Dave. And you're just saying he's doing his dream. So because of that, he'll just dump infinite bucks into it. And I've been right this whole time. And everybody's been right this whole fucking time.
Stupid idiot.
And so it's just that he has a bunch of money, so he's going to keep paying. He's a money mark, so he's just going to keep paying and paying and paying and paying. And Dave adds all these arbitrary fucking definitions like, oh, a money mark, he's not broke. That doesn't mean shit. A money mark doesn't mean you are broke or you spend all your money that you go broke. That's not a money mark. A money mark's just someone who gets marked in for money, okay? You could have everlasting money. It doesn't mean people couldn't mark you in and use you for your money and have you pay for shit, frivolous shit. Doesn't mean you go broke. That's just like some arbitrary addition Dave adds to fucking the definition of money mark. And so, like, Dave is just admitting here, like, his qualifiers for why AEW's in the green in his mind, or why the TV deal, the media rights and everything are good, is because Tony Khan and his dad make a shitload of money. And so they can just keep it afloat, and they can keep it more than afloat. They can keep pushing it, even though the buildings are empty or whatever. They just had a good house, but then they go back down to 2,000 people or whatever. And Dave and Brian cope about that a little bit more. But again, it's just confirming like everything we've ever said, but we're sicko AEW, or we're wacko AEW haters. We're just E-drone hater fed bots when we point this shit out, or we're fraudcasters or old podcasters or whatever other label people want to give you, or Dave leads the charge of giving people. No, fuck you, buddy. You're a grifter. You're a fraud. You're just agreeing with what Phil Marks has been saying for 4 fucking years now.
PWT. He says, I told you so.
Like, you're agreeing with Niccolo Piccolo and shit. You're agreeing with the people with the ops, if you will. No Samoa Joe, right? You're just agreeing with the critique the whole time, and you're just saying, yeah, he's living his dream and spending money. So, but the problem is that then Dave takes that and then extrapolates it to, so that means they're profitable, or these media rights deals are lies. And like, yeah, dude, sometimes just spending, like Ted Turner had all the money in the world too. Like, just spending money isn't always going to be the end all be all. Like, Tone expects money for AEW. So that's a point where he needs people to give him money for AEW, to invest in it, to keep it on the air on a network when they could put something else on instead of that. You know what I mean? So that's where him spending his money doesn't really matter, even though he's willing to spend no one's saying the infrastructure is going to go away or he won't pay these people money. Some people speculate like if he can't get a TV deal, then he will refuse to foot the bill. But I've heard shit forever that Tone already foots the bill for shit, you know, like the deal was never 185 million cash or anything like that. Like, it wasn't even close to that. So, like, yeah, could they get a 50 million deal from somewhere? Sure. If TNA locked one in, that's possible. Could AEW stay alive? Born to be alive. Born to be alive. Could AEW stay alive on my AEW and YouTube and shit? Yes. Do I believe Tone is has told people, well, we'll just go on YouTube? Yeah, dude, I believe that. I fully believe that. And my AEW clearly is being rolled out to be in North America and like in America, right? I covered this on PWT Live show, Time Cop. But Dave is just like extrapolating that they're profitable or that the TV deal might not be in fucking jeopardy because Tone's living his dream and has an infinity money. But that's just not the case. Okay, if you make your money from car bumper patents, it doesn't mean that, or your dad gives you a bunch of money and you're a trust fund kid, it doesn't mean that your pro wrestling company is making money or has made money, right? Just because it has extra money to be thrown into it. It's crazy that this shit even needs to be explained to this guy who says he studied every aspect
or, you know,
of the
the young
business.
superstar, you know, babyface, you know, the former heel thing. So whatever losses they did have or even would have had with that if they didn't sign this great deal.
See, he's sitting there acting like whatever losses they did have or would have had, like he can't admit that. So when Tone started this company and he hired all these wrestlers, Dave, and the first year, you honestly believe he didn't lose any money? Like that wasn't any amount of an investment that he was looking for a return on in the future? Like, this is what I mean. It's even that. The fact that you can't even, like, you have to try and spin or undermine. Oh, I mean, if he would have had any, but I mean, this TV deal. It's just fucking crazy. Like, you couldn't glaze Tone any harder.
I don't think that it's a great concern. You know what I mean? I mean, if you just
the other thing is that if he decided that he needed to cut spending, he would just pare the roster down. That's where most of his money is, anyways, is in the roster.
Right. Well, here's the other part. It's like,
and like, think about, didn't he buy ROH for like, it's an undisclosed amount, but didn't he buy it for like 20 million or whatever the rumors are? Like, they money marked his ass in. He paid way more than he should have. And the reason he did that is because Samoa Joe was trying to help WWE secure the tape library and shit, and possibly even buy ROH, at least get the tape library, whatever. Then Vince did the cuts, released Joe, and then Joe went to AEW. And remember, he debuted in ROH and shit, and Tone bought ROH, and then Joe showed up. Like, it was all around that time, that same time. That was what happened. So that's the reason why Tone got marked in and paid so much for it. Because he obviously put a bid in that WWE's like, fuck that, you know, what a mark. And then Joe, and then like also there was all of the stuff with Vince going on. And it was like, you know, a lot of wrestlers were advised, like, you know, you might as well go get that money. Like, that's what William Regal did. Because Triple H was his guy. As soon as Triple H took power, William Regal's like, I need to fucking leave AEW and go back. But at that time, it was very questionable for Triple H, and he was like, you guys might as well go and get your money, like, from this fucking guy, you know? And people just don't really talk about that aspect of it either.
You know, I mean,
but how much money did he lose on that? Like, he has not made any money on Ring of Honor. He's not made any money on AEW. Yes, he's rich. That's fine. I'm sure he's a nice guy. That's fine. But can we just be objective? This is the stuff where you can look at it objectively and go, the math don't lie, dude.
Obviously, the story about, like, you know, him being told in August. I mean, that's obviously.
And see, like, Dave's such a tard. He takes this offensively. Oh, the story of him being told in August that their TV deal won't get renewed. Obviously, that's fake and phony. But it's like, Dave, that's not even a negative. Like, that should be spun as like, well, if he was told that, I hope he's getting on a TV deal and shit. That's just like a friendly hookup. And like, yes, on a professional capacity, if it's against the law, they're not going to go on record and say, yeah, we're fucking. But somebody was, if they were looking out for Tone at WBD, then that should be a positive. But again, Dave just would rather pretend that like Tone and everyone's in the dark when it comes to WBD shit. Like, Dave will sit there and confidently talk about the numbers. And this is obviously a fake rumor. But then we never get transparency, and Tone's like, I don't even know the numbers from WBD. And it's like, bro, if that's the truth, then you are a fucking mark. Like, how do you not demand to know what the fuck your numbers are when it comes to HBO Max and shit? That's either incompetence or like you're truly just being, you know, people are just fucking knocking this guy for aloof. I don't even know what I'm trying. They're running the ringer around him. Ring around the rose, Tone, right? I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Bullshit. Because I would see cuts.
I'm just confused as you guys are.
Left and right, if that was the case. Okay. And number, you know.
See, Dave's talking if that was the
case. I would see cuts left and right, if that was the case. Okay. And
cuts left and right, you wouldn't.
They wouldn't be promoting them.
Like, AEW's not really promoted on Warner, dude, or like when you watch on TNT, TBS, when you're watching, I guess like Superman will cross over, do an ad with them from time and time again. But like, are they really, like, Dave always talks about how the promotion and the marketing super lackluster for AEW comparative if you compare it to WWE. And it's like, now you want to say, oh, they're promoting them, but you complain and say that they don't promote them well enough, and that's a huge gap. At least last year, that's what you were saying, Dave. So I don't know, man. I spent too much time on that clip, but it's just so much cope from fucking Dave. So let's take a listen here.
It's people, again, who wanted to predict doom for AEW.
It's not that people want to predict doom for AEW. It's not that people just went fuck Tone. They went, dude, if he keeps going in this direction, it's not going to work out. If he keeps making these decisions, we've seen this before, it's not going to work out. That's all any of the old fraudcasters, Bryan, ever said. And then the fan base became so elitist and toxic, and you are one of the main people at the helm of that shit, Dave, encouraging it and still partaking in it and participating in it to this day. To this day. That it unleashed a bunch of WWE fans who were like, no, we just want to step on these motherfuckers like cigarette butts. We just want to put them out. I don't know, man.
And you know what? I mean, look, that was probably the smart money in 2019. It's like, you know what I mean? It was like most of these companies that would get started up in this situation would have died going against WWE and all that.
And it's funny that Dave is the one who is unable to ever be like, well, I was wrong about this or that. Like even Jim Cornette, when CM Punk came back to AEW, Jim was like, they booked it better than I would have. Even guys that they want to say is garbage, like Alfred Kunawa. Alfred Kunawa just gave Double or Nothing an 11 out of 10 on his channel. You guys see that? But he's the fucking devil. Oh my God. Right? Even Eric Bischoff will admit this was good or whatever. Right? Everybody can. People call me an E-drone. I fucking talked about how great the pay-per-view was. I talked about the highlights. I've always put over AEW shit when it's good. Right? So we adjust, but we just look at reality for what it is. Okay, this isn't a fucking good thing. This might be a bad thing. Even Conrad Thompson stepped up and been like, oh, come on now, Dave. That's not very fair. You're doing more harm than good. And you can save money on harm and good if you head to the link below. Right? Everybody's able to adjust and be like, nah, like this was good, this was bad. They shouldn't be doing this. You know, oh, this is a good event. Hey, good job on the 14K or whatever. Dave is the only one. And what he's trying to say right here is like, oh, in 2019, it was the safe money to say that this company's going out of biz. And it's like, man, in 2019, most people weren't as doom and gloom and dark on AEW as they are right now, as far as like, holy fuck, they might get kicked off TV and shit. They weren't, man. Most people were optimistic, but they were just the critiques Dave's thinking of, like Jim Cornette. He was just worried about like the Bucks and Kenny and shit. He was just worried about that. Okay. But Eric Bischoff wasn't fucking trashing AEW. He was on the show.
Oh my God.
He was on AEW. He was on AEW. Right? It's not until Punk and Rhodes and these guys start leaving the fucking company where Bischoff and some of these people were like, dude, things are going to get fucked up here. You're fucking up, Tone. Okay? I've always been optimistic towards AEW and shit. Even JD from NY. People are like, he was an AEW glazer. Now he's a Fed hater. Now he's a Fed glazer. Now he's everybody just, he can't do any compliment without people going, oh, he's just hating or he's just fucking, jumping where the trends are and shit. When really he's just giving his goddamn opinion. Okay? So the thing is Dave hasn't adjusted. From the beginning, he's like, oh, who else but Tony Khan? Like literally before AEW was a thing. Dave
Best guy's Tony Khan.
Right? And Dave said things like, poor people don't like AEW. Poor people hate AEW.
Poor people don't like AEW.
And he said all of this shit. Now they do the cheap tickets. Tony Khan's not a good booker. He just goes to the same four ideas. Dave goes, match quality. Okay, well then what does Tone have to do with that? A, it's not working. You guys aren't beating Raw. You're not beating WWE in the ratings. You're not beating them in ticket sales, nothing. But B, anybody. So if you think Tone's matchmaking is good shit, buddy, you should check me out on 2K26. Mine's spectacular. 5 stars every time, but Like, I could sit there and go Joe versus Osprey on pay-per-view. Anybody could do that. A fucking child could do that. A monkey could do that. Literally. That you have dogs who pick playoff winners and shit by throwing little balls in a fucking hamper. You could have a dog throw a ball into pictures of wrestlers and they could pick 2 wrestlers that'll have a good match. So what does Tone's booking really have to do even with that? But that wins him Booker of the Year award and all this shit. And it's horse shit. And everybody's just saying that's horse shit. And Dave's the one who has not been able to adjust point blank. So he's trying to say it's easy money to stack your chips on in 2019 and say, oh, this thing's going to fail. And these guys have been riding on the fact that AEW is going to fail this whole time. But that's not true, Dave. That's you. You're the one who's been like, oh, they're going to succeed. It's all a great success. Meanwhile, there's no way to prove that whatsoever. And you're still doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on it, sextupling down on it, even though they're about to fucking be on my AEW streaming on their own fucking website, and they're about to not get a fucking 185 million TV deal. And there's, you know what I mean? Like, and the attendances go back down and you're complaining about it, and they pop one good fucking attendance and you guys are like, oh my God, it's just amazing. They're back and WWE's cooked. You're the one who hasn't
so bad.
adjusted.
Dave is the devil.
This one just didn't. And I mean, like, yeah, TNA never died, but come on,
TNA never died, but come on. And it's like, dude, nobody, like, this is what Dave doesn't understand either. He's so fucking stupid. When people say dead, they don't mean like dead and like dead, it's dead, AEW doesn't exist. Okay? They mean dead like roller derby's dead. People don't is there a roller rink? Hey, roller skating's dead. No, it's not, man. There's a roller rink in my town and okay, yeah. But like, is it as popular as it was in the 70s? No. Right? Roller derby. Is there a roller derby league? I'm sure there's one, but it's dead. It's a dead scene, bro. Okay? So that's what people mean when they say dead. It's like ROH is dead right now. Like, nobody watches it. Nobody gives a fuck. It's just a shell. When you do watch it, it's a shell of itself. And then Tone does pay-per-views, and then he just has to bring AEW guys over to like work out AEW angles on an ROH show. There's no point in even owning ROH. You just wasted money on it. Right? He had people's contracts like Joe Hendry that he let go, and then look at what Joe Hendry's doing. So that's what we mean. It's like it's a dead scene. Anybody who's like, oh, it's going to die, they don't mean like entirely. They mean the way you just sloughed off TNA, Dave. Dave, do you see the way you just sloughed off TNA? Oh, that's nothing. That's what they mean. People are just going to slough off AEW and just not take it seriously anymore. Eventually, if they continue down the same road. That's all anybody meant when they were saying that, by the way. And I don't even know if you can quote anybody as saying Eric Bischoff, let's say, because we know who Dave's talking about. He's talking about Bischoff. He's talking about Cornette and shit. Did Bischoff ever say AEW will die? I don't even know if you can find that quote. Jim may have said it. Jim's also said, you need to fucking strip this guy down and boil him for fat. Fucking things like that. Jim says a lot of crazy shit, but he's also, it's like fucking pro wrestling. It's like, he doesn't mean actually fucking fuck him, feed him fish heads or whatever. Like, he doesn't really mean that. Wouldn't you know who won the pony? He doesn't mean like a guy won a horse, you know? He just used a lot of expressions, and when people, and we all share the commonality of language. So when you pretend that like you don't know what that means, oh, it's dead, but then you literally sit there and go, TNA is not dead. I mean, TNA technically didn't die, but I mean, come on, it's dead. Like, that's what Dave's sitting here literally saying, and it's like, that's exactly what people are saying about AEW, but for you in your brain it doesn't register, or you're being disingenuous and trying to present it as if it means something like literally dead, even though you do the same thing when it comes to TNA. You're a mush-brained goof.
It was never a factor like these guys are, as far as like in the grand scheme of things. But so, the whole thing has been they're going to die. And then as each year goes by, they aren't dying. And then
With TNA, same thing with TNA.
Last one, which was the big hit on so many people, was either.
And Dave always goes, it's the big hit with so many people. What the fuck does that mean? It was a talking point in the wrestle sphere, in the wrestling bubble, and everyone talked about it or considered whether or not it was reality or whatever. And then to Dave, that's triggering. Meanwhile, he can speculate on internal WBD memos he gets from Fightful Discords that are made with AI or whatever the fuck. Some Mark types it up, and then he will like report it as fact. And that's not the big one that you came up with, Dave. But because you simply weigh out the options and go, man, I mean, whatever his excuse is here, man, you know, the fucking TKO, they're friendly with Paramount, Ari Emanuel's tight with Ellison. Like, what is he going to cope about here?
This contract is up and they're going to get booted for low ratings, you know, which I told people, it's ridiculous. The ratings aren't low. You know, they're going to get booted. And you know,
they're lower significantly from what they were, Dave. And also, it's not just because the fucking low ratings. It's because of the relationships like I was talking about. WBD might be owned by fucking Paramount right away. And they might look at AEW and those ratings and go, we can put a UFC fight card on there. Because we gave them $7 billion for fucking UFC. You know, we could do Dana White's looking for a fights or Tuesday Night Contenders or whatever on this time slot. He'll do, you know, but he just doesn't consider any of that. He doesn't consider who Ari Emanuel is. He doesn't consider any of the players in this. He thinks Tone's money trumps other fucking people's money just because he has money from his dad. He thinks that because Tone works in the NFL, and that these people, Skydance and Paramount and shit, have to deal with him because of the positions he's in the NFL. Not that they want to, not that they're calling him up, hey, Tone, but because they have to deal with him. They think that's a relationship stronger than Ellison's 15-year personal advisory. And all the guys hanging out in the front row of the UFC and fucking hugging Trump, and Triple H is there sitting behind Joe Rogan, and fucking Ari Emanuel's next to him, and fucking, you know what I mean, dude? This is like, you got to use your fucking head here, dude.
So it was either they're going to get booted or they're going to get a deal, but not for any more money. And because of that, they're going to be just deep in the red. So deep in the red. Tony's going to lose all this money, which, you know, the funny part of all this
is he's losing money. He's lost money. And that's not even an L. Businesses, you got to spend money to make money. It's not a big deal. Okay, Dave, but you can't cope about that. The $185 million didn't cover shit. He's been in business for 7 years. His roster has costed him $100 million plus for most of those years. $185 million upwards. That wasn't even $185 million. He did not get paid all of that in cash for the TV deal. Dave, you're taking hits, okay? Just do simple math.
If that actually was the case, that they were going to lose significant money.
They already have. Who cares? That doesn't even matter. That's not why you don't get a TV deal.
I mean, Tony's really in on this. Like,
when we listen to this, he's in on this. This is his dreams. They lost so much money, but his dad's a billionaire, okay? And the fuck does that have to do with anything anyone's talking about? Is the booking better because he's a billionaire? Nope. Fuck you talking about? So Dave Meltzer, he notes the impact that the that the title versus hair stipulation has had on the secondary market for AEW Double or Nothing. And Dave goes, I checked yesterday, and the scalper price to get in was $153, which means the secondary market tripled from that announcement of the hair match. So now it's expensive tickets good, even though they're not as expensive as WWE. But it's like, again, and it's not a bad thing to flex your fucking tickets and how much money you make. But Dave literally, him and his readers, nominated and voted Triple H as one of the most disgusting promotional tactics of the year, bragging about the live gate of a show. Meanwhile, Tony Khan goes and gets the crowd to chant pay-per-view, and Dave himself runs victory laps on AEW's behalf when they sell expensive tickets and do good.
Dave is so bad. Dave is the devil. Oh.
It's fucking insane. So Dave goes, they were going to sell out with the hair stipulation. They were tracking to sell out before that. They would not have sold out so quickly without it, but the stipulation absolutely worked, especially on the secondary market. I disagree. I think if MJF fought anybody there, it would have done this amount of ticket sales, because you had the Stadium Stampede with Kenny and Jericho, and Lashley was involved in that. So those are all a bunch of names, right? And you had Edge and Christian versus FTR. And then when you have Samoa Joe on top of that, I just think it was MJF could have wrestled anybody, any stipulation, and it would have done a sellout. And Dave is saying essentially the same thing, but the hair match really pushed it over the edge. And yeah, I think the hair match, if anything, or maybe not, like maybe if this was more casuals went to this show, then maybe it didn't hurt shit. But for me, like being locked in and watching the show every week, I think that it only hurt it, because it's just like he's not shaving his head. I don't know. Like every week you guys want to joke about his hair surgeries and shit. Like he's not shaving his head, right? You don't shave your head when you fucking do all that work to your hair, dude. And maybe it worked, but I just think like the title match and it being in New York and MJF already, like, again, if we want to tout the TV ratings before Darby's run, all of a sudden Darby's run, they kind of fall off and people are like, oh, playoffs and shit. The playoffs are heating up. Yeah, it's that. But also MJF, like you guys were talking about, oh, the ratings are doing good. And MJF's your champ. He drops the belt. All of a sudden they're down and it's playoffs. Shut the fuck up, man. You know, like it's Darby was, people did not want to see him as champ. I'm sorry. And yeah, I think MJF versus anybody in the main event would have drew, personally. I think MJF's a hot commodity right now, okay? And so we're going to get in the weeds with the numbers here. We are going to get in the weeds with the numbers. I just want to make sure, Dave, we have Dave talking about All In and whatnot, or pardon me, Double or Nothing. So Dave Meltzer suggests AEW should run Louis Armstrong Stadium every year for a pay-per-view, Brian. This was like Arena Mexico. This was a crowd that you needed to bottle. AEW should run this building for a pay-per-view every year and burn it out. And burn it out, or what? They're just hot shot booking noobs, man. These guys just want to hot shot book everything. You know what I mean? They just want to fucking burn everything out before, like, he's already just thinking about they should do this every year. Okay, but what if it doesn't draw every year? What if MJF's not the champ? Are they drawing the same there? It's just such wishful thinking. Like, calm down and focus on Wednesday's show being good, which Dave and Brian cope about Wednesday's show. So he says it was too perfect of a crowd and a visual not to, Brian. Oh boy. Imagine him saying that about an MSG live event for WWE. He won't. And so Brian and Dave glaze this pay-per-view to death. Okay, and here's Brian and Dave just fucking...
Brian!
StreamYard switched my the order of my sounds around. I'm gonna have to fucking reorder them. But Brian here is just glazing this show. This is the greatest AEW pay-per-view of all time. I gave it a solid B rating. And I'm giving Dave a B rating right now throughout the show. But yeah, for me it was a solid B. And let's hear Brian melt our minds with his glaze of this. And again, me personally, is it in the top 10 all time? Maybe it's in the top 10. Is it in the top 5 all time AEW pay-per-views? I would have to like rewatch some of the year 1 and 2 shit, man. They were fucking cooking. Like the first event, if you want to factor All In 1, just the original All In before AEW, if you want to include that one, then that one, and then the fucking subsequent one, I think, are 1 and 2. right? Or no, because it wasn't All In. Wasn't it like All Out? And then they again, I'd have to go back and like I need to look at a list. I need it right in front of me. I can't just off the top of my head go, yeah, it was one of the best AEW pay-per-views of all time. They've been around 6-7 years. Is it in the top 10? Maybe. But the way people are talking about this show, I just really don't think like the MJF Darby match was good, but was it even that memorable? I don't know. Darby's done way crazier shit. Like he's done way more memorable, crazy shit already. I think of him and Sting in the warehouse. I think of Sting's retirement. Those are the first two things that come to my mind. Fuck, man. Is that MJF's greatest match? I don't know, man. He's had some fucking bangers too in AEW already. So was it awesome for like Edge and Christian? Yeah, I think that I Quit tag match with FTR, I think that will go down in history as like, dude, Edge and Christian capturing the titles in AEW's history books. You know, what does it mean in the grand scheme of wrestling as a whole? Oh, I don't know. You know, maybe a little more than if they were in TNA winning the titles fucking a decade ago or whatever, maybe. But yeah, I just don't I don't think any match particularly will be remembered all time. Like, was it the best stadium stampede ever? No. Was that women's four-way the best women's four-way or women's title match? No. Will Mox O'Reilly be remembered? No. Okada Takeshita, okay, that's a stamp. That was a coming out party for Takeshita. Athena Mina, no one will fucking remember that match. Even Osprey Joe, no one will remember that match in fucking 5 years. And that's not even a knock on Joe or anything. It was just like a pretty good Joe match with Osprey. Joe always has a good match though, you know. And Osprey did his thing and he did as best as he could. It was okay. Swerve Bandito, like, I mean, again, is that even one of the most memorable Swerve matches, good or bad? Like, I always go to that fucking needle spot, man. That was garbage. Oh, remember when he hung Buddy with a chain? Like, it's just, I just remember the garbage he does more than anything. Like, will it stand the test of time? I don't know. I don't know if any of these matches were like the best of any of these wrestlers' careers or in all of AEW. You just isolate any of these matches. Were they even rated? You know, like, I don't even know if any of these matches rate. I just got to be honest. Like,
I thought probably the best AEW pay-per-view I've ever seen.
Crazy. I just don't, whatever.
The best.
It's subjective. And Dave's with me, I guess. Base Dave, he's like, I thought it was one of the best, but what does that mean? Like one of the best top 10, top 20? Okay.
The first two matches,
they do fucking 12 a year now. So like, what does that really mean? Is that there's so many of them? How do you even really narrow it down?
probably the best first two matches on an AEW pay-per-view I've ever seen. And there are a lot of great matches. I mean, you know,
yeah,
there's six
physically they did cool moves, I guess. Okay.
matches that were close to out of this world.
Close to out of this world. What the fuck does that even mean, dude? Well, they were close to out of this world.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time too.
They were still in this world, and they were among us. However, they were close to out of this world, Bryan. They were going, they were flying up to the sky, and the sky started becoming kind of dark, like you see in the movies, Brian. But right before, it's like Iron Man, where he flies up to space, but the freeze, their suit, the suit froze. They freeze before they hit the atmosphere, Brian, and come back down to Earth. But it was almost out of this world. The fuck you talking about?
Fantastic crowd. That it was an awesome show. I mean,
yeah, it was an awesome show. So like a B plus. Dave would be like, "Oh my god, if it was so good, everyone it'd be trending for like a month. Everyone, oh my god, remember WrestleMania 40, guys? Remember that shit? You remember that shit? Oh my god, peak. That's that's A plus. Don't get no better than that. Don't get no better than that main event. That's A plus. Oh my god, it's the greatest fucking thing I've ever seen." But they're sitting here like, yeah, this is a great show, I guess, and crowd was pretty good, and look at Dave's fucking face. I need that for a thumbnail. Holy man, look at that face he's making. Oh man,
Revolution was an awesome show. I mean, they're just
starts talking about this show was so good that we're talking about Revolution now. This is what I mean. They don't believe this shit. They don't believe this shit. Nobody believes this shit.
Their big show, they do the best big shows I've ever seen on a consistent basis.
Oh my
I mean,
God. AEW, okay, who draw fucking 8,000 to last year's Double or Nothing. They draw less than SmackDowns that Dave is saying are done and shit like that, right? And they do the best big show on a consistent basis. Meanwhile, WWE consistently does PLEs that are 30,000 plus people. Like their minimum. When they do 15,000 for a Saturday night main event, people try and clown that as low sales. Okay? For WWE. When a WWE PLE goes to a building that holds 18,000 and they do 17,000, people try and clown that as low. Okay? So they do these big PLEs like Clash and then like Elimination Chamber, the Money in the Bank, the fucking Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, and all these things. And it's like 30,000 people, 40,000, 25,000, 2-night SummerSlam, WrestleMania, 52 and 52, 70 and 70. So that's not consistently the best big show because why? The moves, like not all the matches hit, or do they pull the shows off superbly? But some of the creativity you might not like that much. You know what I mean? Like Dave can't separate he just goes, oh, they did a lot of moves. I mean, consistently, the big shows. You mean like Forbidden Door that has 6,000 people after Tone fluffs it? It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. It's a crazy way of thinking about the business.
Big shows at the Tokyo Dome or things like that are on par, but not month after month. Maybe I couldn't come up with any time.
I couldn't come up with any time. He just thought about it for a half a second.
Period with New Japan, like 2013, 14, 15, 16, when they would do the monthly pay-per-views. They were really on a roll in that era. But I don't know.
They were on a roll in that era from the moves they were doing. Think about this shit. And all the guys he's naming, or all the time dates that he's naming, 13, 14, 15, 16, all those guys are in AEW now. And now New Japan is fucked, and they just got bought up by TV Asahi, who's like fucking, they're partnered with Noah and shit. And we could end up seeing a New Japan WWE crossover here eventually soon, and this looks so fucking bad for AEW right now, if you look into that, which we'll dive deeper into on PWT Live Show. Time Cop. Like, Dave's fucked, man. Dave's cooked in the brain.
It's just so spectacular. Everybody works so hard.
And this was so good. Everybody works so hard. He just doesn't care. He's not even enthused about it. Even my fucking review is more impassioned and serious and like weighing out the goods and the bads. And Dave is just, everything worked so hard. It was good. But New Japan in 2013 and Revolution last year were better. It's literally what he just said.
There's a lot more moments.
Why is this who you want endorsing your shit?
I get scared, on AEW shows than anybody else. I will say that, as far as the talent going too far. But
and then Dave does this lie. Oh, I get more scared than anyone about talent going too far. No, you don't. You give them 5 stars and clap like a baby seal, according to your own friends.
This was a great show. Good booking, great booking.
Good booking, great booking.
And really one of the best crowds they ever had. Mic'd well, beautiful building.
Fuck, man. Dave is the shits. You're the shits. Tone, that boring, trifling ass troglodyte Dave Meltzer, you need to fucking kick this guy. You need to boot him. He's complete ass. He is not the guy. Listen how bored he is talking. I'm more passionate roasting him talking about your show. Fuck, man. So here's Dave Meltzer now, fantasy mark booking the demise of Jericho. And it's like, who the fuck was asking for him to fail? You just make shit up in your head, or you're in like the worst, most redacted areas of fucking Twitter, reading slop that nobody takes seriously, Dave.
I mean, the only blood, I believe, was Adam Copeland, right?
Well, they weren't allowed to have blood.
Right, exactly.
They could do no blood, and they could do no crowd brawling, and they managed to...
Which is pretty hard in a stadium stampede.
But they did it.
They pulled it off. Yeah,
pulled it
they
off
pulled it
great.
off as good as they could. I mean, I knew that match was going to be filled with ideas, and
oh my God. I knew that match was going to be filled with ideas, Brian.
the only reason I know about this is because of I know about it, and it was you know, I mean, one of the themes, you know, is you know, from between this match and the match on Dynamite is man, you know, all those people wishing for the demise of Chris Jericho. It didn't happen. I mean, he can't.
What demise? Nobody wanted Jericho to do bad. They just didn't want him in the Fed. And then the AEW fans that you're now also scolding, Dave, because you're dumb, fucking were chanting, please retire at him. So the AEW fans wanted Jericho to do bad because they chanted, please retire. They wanted him gone. WWE fans either were like, don't bring him in, or they wanted him to come back, or they just don't give a fuck. So much so that a bunch of casuals, you had like fucking Chael Sonnen and shit tweeting out, wasn't Jericho coming back? Why is everyone convinced Jericho's coming? Like, people were out there going, dude, I thought Chris Jericho was coming back. He should have came back at the Rumble. Everybody thought he was going back. So nobody wanted him to do bad. It was just people saying, we don't want him in the Fed. And then it was the AEW fans going, we want him to retire. So Dave is meaning to be critical of AEW fans here, but he's just like, all these people who wanted Jericho to fail. Who fuck wanted him to fail, dude?
Back, he had to win the people over, but he did. You know, I mean, like he got a great reaction tonight. It was probably the last two shows have been the two best reactions he got, and probably the two best. You know, I mean, he was.
Yeah, his dad played for the Rangers, but Jericho spent a lot of time growing up in New York as well, and you know. And you think about Edge and Christian, and they're from Toronto. They're from Ontario, which is right above New York. So you have Edge and Christian there. You have Jericho there. You have fucking MJF there, Dave. Go figure. You book a competent show with the right people on it, and a bunch of people show up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, go figure. And you got Lashley, who's a star. Samoa Joe's on the card. Kenny Omega got a big pop, too. He's a fucking star. I don't care what anybody says. Omega is a guy that people know, like, even if you don't know, there's a reason they put all of his moves and fucking taunts and entrance and shit in the video game every year, even in 2K, you know, like you know who he is. If you're like a casual wrestling fan, you've heard of the guy, you know what I mean? Someone says Kenny Omega, like, not if you yell it in a mall, but if you're like down with wrestling, you know who the fuck he is. Right. So, and then New York, you got to think about it. That's like the wrestling city. So they're going to know who Kenny is. You go to any wrestling show, WWE fans or not, they probably know who the fuck he is, right? So again, man, Dave is just like, oh, they wanted Jericho's demise. It's like, dude, a couple weeks ago, they didn't give a fuck about anything. The last few weeks, they were not singing his theme at all. They didn't know the fucking words. So like, yes, this show was a success and was good. This isn't the overarching end-all be-all for Jericho, dude. Like, he might go to another town and they don't give a fuck. And I called it out. I was like, okay, they pop for his return in Winnipeg. Are they going to pop for his return when they go back to the States? The crowd didn't care. They weren't singing his music and shit. Winnipeg barely knew the words to his fucking song. So, yeah, I don't know. Dave is just fried.
You know, he was in multiple person matches, but perhaps the best wrestling that he's done since he's been back too. I mean, really, really good stuff. And I mean, to me, like the first two matches were just phenomenal. And, you know, main event was great. MJF won the championship as everyone expected by himself. Kevin Knight turned heel. Mick Foley debuted, got in a great segment with MJF.
So there you go, man. Dave is just lapping it up. And let's see here. Let's keep rolling through this. And Dave Meltzer believes 6 matches from Double or Nothing were close to out of this world. So we heard him say that. And Dave Meltzer says AEW Double or Nothing was a huge success on pay-per-view. So more on that in just a moment. Dave Meltzer, though, I think I have one more clip of him talking about Double or Nothing or the Dynamite following. So, here is Dave Meltzer. So he talked about the crowd, and again, we're going to get into the actual pay-per-view buys and everything of Double or Nothing. But this was Dave complaining about the AEW Dynamite the night after, essentially. And he's like, this was not a great crowd. So all of that glazing he does, yeah, they had a great night. What happens next week? What happens the week after? What happens when Tone's shitey fucking shyster booking doesn't pay off and he just throws a bunch of shit at the wall? What happens when people lose interest? Like, you drew a house for MJF in New York. Okay, round of applause. That's great. There were some good matches. Awesome. But what's the follow-up? Okay? Are people really going to care about the next show? What about Forbidden Door, where they haven't even sold 6,000 tickets? They struggled to sell 5,000 tickets for that show so far. What about that, man? Dave's talking definitively, like Double or Nothing. Well, wrap it up, pack it in. You know, everybody's done. Jump around, Bryan. Jump up, and get down. We won. We are the champions, Bryan. It's like, buddy, calm the fuck down. So here's them like complaining and again and burying the fucking crowd. It's always blaming the fans and shit.
Hey, listen, whatever this Leo Rush is doing, this gimmick, these people are into it now. This guy starts galloping around the ring and they pop big. And
it's a cool fucking gimmick. I don't care what anybody says. I like it. He was doing it before and nobody complained about it or shit on it. And you know, on the internet, the people who knew about it, everyone was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And now he's doing it in AEW. Thank God, because it gives him something to do. And I'm a weird demon guy. It fits his, like, I'm going to flip around and do fucking moves, right? It's like, okay, it's Finn Balor demon. Like, you don't get mad at Finn Balor demon. You know what I'm saying? So, I like the Leo Rush thing. Putting him in there with Orange Cassidy, though, people don't care. He's going to kill your ratings. He's a fucking goofball. It doesn't work. The Orange Cassidy thing's over. We got to stop with the Orange Cassidy thing. It's done. They parade that 42-year-old man out there to do some fucking cringy-ass gimmick, and he's doing the kicks, and that's how you follow up this pay-per-view. You follow it up with some bullshit like that. That's why the fucking ratings are down and the attendances stink. Dynamite's typically not a good show, dude. You have to accept that.
Every time he jumps into the gimmick, it woke the crowd up because they weren't like totally into this match from start to finish.
This was not a great crowd.
This was not this past weekend.
Well, just not even for a regular Wednesday show. I mean, it's like,
no, a regular Wednesday show, they're not that good either, Dave.
The thing with AEW, and I guess WWE's the same way. It's like every week you just don't know. Like, you think the company's, they're coming off this great paper.
No, so Dave's like, how the crowd reaction is. Okay, some towns might be quieter than other towns, but it's not like Dave is sitting there like, you just don't know. Well, what we do know, Dave, is they sold 2,200 tickets for this show that Dynamite did, and SmackDown sold 9,000 tickets again. So, okay, the SmackDown 9,000 people are kind of quiet and they're a shitty crowd. Okay. And how much of that is on fucking WWE and the wrestlers? That's where you can make the art argument. Well, go out there and win that fucking crowd over. Make them laugh, funny man. You know, like, fucking win them over then. Be better. That's where you can debate and criticize them, okay? When it's 2,000 people, like, Dave wants to make it about WWE. Nope, that's night and day. And he wants to chalk it up to, well, the people going crazy is what means it's a good show. Maybe, dude, I don't know. People went crazy for Joey and Brody Lee Jr. If you show that to the masses, they're not going to like it. They're going to think it's shitty. If you don't have an infant brain, they're going to think that's fucking stupid. So I see Japan going crazy for matches where a big fat sumo guy's fucking laying on top of a Joshi dressed like a schoolgirl and shit. And we've watched clips of that on PWT Live Show and Member Mondays and shit. Crowd's going nuts for that. Does that mean it's necessarily good if you show it to the masses? I don't think so, dude. Doesn't mean it's going to garner a cult following. that's way bigger than you would expect it would. I don't know about that, dude.
And they're going to have this. They're going to Philly. They're going to have this hot crowd, and it really wasn't a hot crowd tonight. I remember when they went to Portland, Maine. And I was
imagine
like,
going to Philly and it's not a hot crowd. Oh my god.
Oh god, total WWE country. It's going to be one of those WWE crowds, and they had a great crowd. I mean, not in numbers. This one actually had better numbers than usual. But
it's WWE country. They're going to have a WWE crowd. What?
But it just wasn't.
It's always an excuse, and it's always WWE's fault that AEW just ain't popping.
Like, they were into like Will Ospreay, and they got really into the main event, because it was, the tables and light tubes and stuff. And there was other things here and there that they got into, the Jericho and Ricochet had pretty good reaction. But sustaining as far as the show, not so much.
So again, blaming the fans, coping. Oh, it didn't fucking work out there, Dave. Oh, so Double or Nothing wasn't the end all be all, and they don't run New York, and fucking the tides haven't turned, and it was just another lousy Dynamite fucking show. And you're gonna.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
Okay, so we're going to crunch some numbers. We're going to look at some numbers here, chat. We are going to see... what Dave had to say about the pay-per-view buys, right? That was his review and his reaction to the whole TV Paramount stuff and all of the Double or Nothing stuff and the successes of Double or Nothing, right? So now we are going to get into actual pay-per-view numbers, what Dave had to say about stuff and all of that. So get your goddamn flutes in the chat. I put a poll in chat. I'm going to check it real quick here. Let's see. Yeah. So over on YouTube, I put a poll, guys, youtube.com/@ProWrestleClips. If you're anywhere else checking this out, hit like, hit subscribe, support the show. I wrote, rounding up or down, what do you think AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view buys were? Less than 100,000. 54% of you guys voted less than 100,000. I put more than 100,000, 22% voted that. Roughly 150,000, 18% of you guys voted that, and 200,000 or more, which is what Dave is seemingly shaping up to. He's going to say it did 200,000 or more. I'm positive of that. And 6% of you guys thought it did that. Now, there's no way of actually telling. And with the pay-per-view numbers, there's no way of actually determining what the pay-per-view numbers are, okay? If you guys remember, just to recap a couple things that we've covered on this show and PWT Live show every Wednesday and Saturday night on YouTube and Kick, we've talked about how Dave Meltzer added an invisible 30% to the ratings once they went on Amazon, the pay-per-view buys. So Dave predicted and just started adding 30% extra onto the pay-per-view buys once AEW went on Amazon. We know that AEW is on like 15 different things for you to buy, and there's like 10 places, as Niccolo Piccolo put these fucking charts together, like there's like 10 places you can watch the pay-per-views. So how the fuck do you know? How do you, like, are all of these people telling him the numbers? How would he possibly know how many people bought the pay-per-view on HBO Max when Tone claims he doesn't even know the fucking numbers on HBO Max? You know what I'm saying? Like, Dave is just making things up. The only reason
I know about this is because of I know about it.
As you guys see here, this tweet, when it comes to Netflix, MMA MVP MMA on Netflix, or when it comes to the UFC or trying to shit on TNA, Dave likes to look up Google Trends and he likes to look up YouTube numbers. He's never made a tweet like this for AEW. And this whole time, we've been tracking the YouTube AEW pay-per-view numbers, at least as far as the people that are watching it concurrently live at its peak, thanks to Switchblade97 on X. He's been chronicling that forever, which we're about to dive into. And why is that a good metric? Again, just to reiterate, if it's your first time listening, you can look this up on the Nielsen charts, which we've looked up a myriad of them. YouTube is the number one streamer. It's the number one streamer. I repeat, it's the number one streamer. Even when Paramount merges with WBD is the lowest streamer before other. They have 1 point, I think at the height, 8% of the fucking pie of who's watching streaming, okay? YouTube's number one, followed by Netflix. So when you can look at the Google Trends. You can look at how many people are watching the pay-per-views live on YouTube, which is the number one streamer. That's probably a good indicator of, what type of interest is garnered in these fucking events. And Dave never talks about this unless it's, oh, look, TNA's doing shitty. Oh, look, here was what UFC did, so I can make up their fucking pay-per-view numbers too. And if you guys remember, we also covered a gentleman who, what he did was extrapolated the percentages of AEW's pay-per-view conversion rate, according to Dave Meltzer, and then he looked at WWF/E and WCW's conversion rates during the Attitude Era of pay-per-view numbers, back when pay-per-view were pay-per-view, and he used Dave's own fucking math, okay? And AEW's a fucking anomaly. It just does not now, provided streaming's changed the whole game, but it just looks like Dave's been making shit up. Okay. And when AEW had more people objectively watching it on TV and everything else, they had like better conversion rates than what Dave thinks they have now and all of this stuff. It was just such a wonky chart. And this guy posted this chart. Dave just blocked him, didn't even respond to it. And it pretty much owned his narrative on AEW's pay-per-view buys. Okay. So the Wrestling Observer posts this. AEW Double or Nothing was a huge success on pay-per-view. And also, what did Dave post before? He said, they're projected to do very high numbers. One of their highest pay-per-views, right? And so Dave Meltzer had this to say: AEW Double or Nothing 2026 pay-per-view buys seem to be 15% above Revolution. Funny, because the Google Trends, which we're going to put on fucking screen here in a tick, show that what does Switchblade say? Here's some AEW Double or Nothing 2026 pay-per-view data. The show had the most Google search interest for Double or Nothing since 23, beating out 24 and 25. It did have less interest than AEW Revolution earlier in the year. Significantly less interest than Revolution in All In 25. So earlier this year, Revolution, there was less interest than that. Okay. Meanwhile, Dave, though, somehow his projections are before the pay-per-view, or his projections post pay-per-view. It's going to be 15% more buys than Revolution. Somehow. How does he figure this out? I don't fucking know. So people weren't typing in Revolution pay-per-view to buy it, or pardon me, Double or Nothing pay-per-view to buy it online. Somehow Revolution trended higher, but Double or Nothing is going to do 15% more than Revolution in pay-per-view buys. In Dave's mind, right? That's all I'm saying. Now, it's not definitive proof, but like all of these places you buy the pay-per-view are online. Most people look at the shit online. Very few people go and buy a pay-per-view traditionally, right? You're looking it up. Most people's fucking are looking things up and going to sites on Chrome and things of this nature. Like Google's your default, right? And the interest was higher for Revolution, but this is going to do more pay-per-view sales than Revolution, WBD, or pardon me, Double or Nothing, even though people are buying it through There's too many W's. WWE, WBD, WWF, Jesus fucking Christ. People are buying it through Max, and you're buying it through YouTube, and you're buying it through fucking Triller, maybe. I don't even know. There's like 15 places. So Revolution was 27% above World's End's 2025 buy rate of 140, which would mean Revolution had an estimated buy rate of about 177. This is all Meltzer math. He's just making it up. And the other thing, too, is like, okay, so Tone doesn't know the HBO numbers, but someone at HBO is reaching out to fucking Dave to tell him the numbers. How would he even know this? Let alone how would he know the Amazon numbers? How would he know the YouTube buys? How would he know the fucking Triller buys? How would he, the My AEW buys? How would he fucking know all of these numbers? He wouldn't. You guys really think one of these places is reaching out to him or he's reaching out to them, let alone all of them, for him to even get this type of estimate? So should Double or Nothing finish 15% above that, that would mean Double or Nothing, the title versus hair stipulation, drew around 204 buys. So Dave's going to come out and go above 200,000. He's going to say that. Okay. Now we're going to debunk this like we've done a million times. So I talked about, we'll circle to that. So AEW Double or Nothing is expected to end up among the top 5 or 6 pay-per-views in company history. Dave Meltzer addressed how the show is trending on Observer Radio. Nothing that it was AEW's biggest event ever on HBO Max and beat Revolution by a significant margin. Oh, but it's trending, right, Dave? Well, look at the trends. Look at the trends. Look at the trends. We have the trends. So let's just look at this chart. So the red is Revolution. The blue is Double or Nothing. Okay, Revolution trending higher than Double or Nothing every fucking year. This is 26, a little bit higher. Let's say 15% higher, Brian. So it's trending in Dave's mind. It's trending higher. Double or Nothing's trending higher than Revolution. Oh, really? Because we're looking at the Google trends and that doesn't seem to be reality, Dave. Okay. So Switchblade breaks this down a bit, and he has this to say. Interest was up from the previous AEW pay-per-view Dynasty. The YouTube live pay-per-view peaked at 3K live viewers, up from 2.5K for Dynasty. It was down significantly from last year's Double or Nothing. Guys, listen to this. This year's Double or Nothing peaked at 3K viewers on YouTube. Last year's had 6.6K live viewers at its peak on YouTube. Okay. Max gets added. So he says it was the most live viewers since Max was added. Okay. So now does that mean that 3.6K people on YouTube all went to Max and bought the pay-per-view? Maybe if you want to argue that. Cool. But when you say it's trending higher and shit, no, it's fucking not. No, it's not. And when Dave's comparing it to Revolution and saying it trended higher, when? Where? That didn't fucking happen. Double or Nothing had the most search interest on Max. Okay? So we have a chart right here. So Double or Nothing on YouTube, Double or Nothing on Max, Double or Nothing on Prime. So it had the most interest, Double or Nothing on Max. Right? And again, this is how we break this down. Like, good. Okay, good for them. Max is ruling, and maybe 3,000 people who watched it last year did go over and watch it on Max. Okay, we don't discount that. But this is important. We look at that because that was the highest trend, right? And Dave goes, this trended higher than Revolution. But meanwhile, Revolution trended higher than Double or Nothing when you look at it, but the trends for Double or Nothing indicate that the Max searches were higher, but Revolution still trumped all of that. So what were the Max searches for that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense that Dave's saying it did 15% higher at all. Okay? Because this is the overall interest. And then when you follow it up with the other charts that Switchblade fucking has down here, it shows you, okay, Max. So YouTube isn't the end all be all. Look, Double or Nothing on Prime did have more interest than the YouTube. So maybe more people are finding it on Prime and Max. But then you have to accept, so either these people disappeared or they're finding it from YouTube, or they left from YouTube, pardon me, but they're not. So did those people just disappear and then these are new people? Or did they all go to these other streamers? And do you want me to believe that they all just went to Max and then it's all new people on Prime? Like, Dave is trying to make us believe that it's more people. I'm not good at explaining this stuff, I know, but Dave wants us to believe like what? It's more people that are watching, or are half the people from YouTube gone? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Are more people watching on Max? Sure, maybe they are. That's awesome. But is it more overall than the 6.6K that were on YouTube? Or is it safe to say that now that they did 3K this year, it's some of those fucking people went to Max and Prime and shit? And and then Revolution trended higher than all of these. So if we got the chart for that, I'm sure the Revolution on Max is fucking 105 or whatever, right? I don't think we have the numbers for that, but it trended overall higher than Double or Nothing. So how is it possible that it's going up and up every fucking pay-per-view like Dave is trying to convince us? I hope this is making sense. There was 3K watching on YouTube for Double or Nothing this year. 6.6K watching last year on YouTube for Double or Nothing. The Max numbers are higher than the YouTube this year, and so is the Prime numbers. They're higher than the YouTube. So is it that there's a bunch of new fucking fans, or is it that some of those people stopped watching on YouTube and went to Max and shit? That's basically what I'm trying to fucking say here. And Dave won't even consider that. Now, this is nerd shit. A lot of people consider this boring. I don't even really like talking about this shit because, again, I'm not too fucking good at it. If we had a fucking, maybe fucking Switchblade come on sometime and break this shit down. But I'm just saying that it's obvious to people okay, so it doesn't mean that all of a sudden there's a million new fucking fans. Look at those YouTube numbers. Those are important. Okay, because Max was introduced, half those people are gone. So does that mean we're going to 3 times the fucking audience, or does that mean that those people just went and are watching on Prime and shit like that? So we fucking move along. We're going to keep these trends here so we can go back to them, okay? And let's just see what else Dave was saying. So here is him talking about how big of a pay-per-view success that this was. This is him actually speaking with his own words, what he thinks.
All right, what do we know as far as the pay-per-view numbers for the Double or Nothing show on Sunday?
Huge success. I don't know if it beat All In, the Globe Life Field show. It's too early to tell. It was the biggest that they've ever done on HBO Max, but HBO Max started after the All In show. But it beat, I knew it was going to beat the last show. I mean, that was a given. I mean, there was so much interest in everything. So to me, the big thing was with Dave.
So where is he getting this interest? Because the Google trends say the opposite, buddy.
Would they be able to beat Revolution? I mean, to me, that was the goal. And Revolution did a real big number. Revolution was the biggest since All In.
And again, we debunked that as well. And we figured that Dave Meltzer he's just adding 30% every fucking year. And with Revolution, we compared it to other pay-per-views, again, with just numbers that he tried to play numbers. We looked at the trends, we compared it, and basically he's just making shit up. So now he's saying it did better than Revolution. And he's it trended higher and shit. Well, Revolution trended higher when you look at the Google Analytics. And when you look at the YouTube numbers from a year ago, either people stopped watching or they did go to Max and shit, but it doesn't mean it's doing more people. It just means that more people didn't watch on YouTube. Okay?
And they beat Revolution by a fairly significant
How do you fucking know? How do you know?
Numbers that I've seen.
What numbers did you see?
15% up from Revolution. I think that's a little bit higher than it's going to end up. But again, I've only heard some stuff. But I think it is pretty clear that it will be among your top 5-6 pay-per-views in the history of AEW.
Crazy.
Whether it beats, it's not gonna beat the Sting retirement. It's not gonna beat that big one in Chicago. When Punk had his first match there and everything, where they set the record. It's not gonna beat the first Wembley. Those three it won't beat. But I mean, as far as like, spots 4, 5, 6.
See, this is the problem, man. This is how fucking stupid this is, and why Dave's a shyster and a fraud. He just is, point blank, because it won't beat these 3 other ones, but it'll beat this one. It's just Dave ranking in his mind where he's going to place this and how he's going to lie about the numbers. There's no math or truth or statistics or analytics or anything that go into this. It's like his star rating system. It's just like, okay, the Sting one, the Double or Nothing, and the All In at Wembley, those are no matter what going to be the fucking top, because I'm just going to say they're the top forever. And maybe they are. Okay, but the problem is that it's all invisible. Nobody knows, nobody actually knows what the fucking numbers are. Nobody actually can figure out. Well, here's the thing. Niccolo Piccolo figures it out, and it's so funny. He crunched numbers, and he's like, and he put out a tweet. He's like, my estimation is that he's inflating the numbers by 20 to 31% or whatever. And it's so funny because what have I been saying forever? Dude, he inflates them by a minimum 30%, because he said that's what he was going to do. Okay. And I've covered that a bunch of fucking times on this show, so we're not going back to that. But I've been saying that forever. And Nick crunches the numbers and he goes, yeah, about 31%. Fucking, I know, bro. We fucking told you, and thanks for doing the math, by the way. We're about to get into some of it, but it's just like, I know, dude. This is what I've been trying to tell people. He fucking just invents 30% out of thin air and just starts applying its shit. So let's continue. Oh, yeah, but it's all invisible, though. We don't know. It's just Dave saying this pay-per-view's probably up here, and he's just painting the narrative. The answer should be, it was this many buys. I give or take 5 or 10% because this, and so it'll be third place. It's not like, well, it'll for surely be behind this one, maybe ahead of this one. Depends how I feel that day. Maybe it'll be under this one. I don't know. It should be this. It should be that. Shut the fuck up, you bum.
Possible that it may, beat some of them. Like I said, but there's enough out there. It was a big pay-per-view success.
Shut the fuck up. It was a lot out there. What was a lot out there? What the fuck are you talking about, you
All right,
bum?
well, as far as
Oh my God. What was out there? Lower Google trends? You know what I'm saying? There's lower fucking Google trends than Revolution. Right there. Every year, lower Google trends, man, than Revolution. Oh, there's a lot out there. A lot of Googlings happening out there. What the fuck you talking about? Shut the fuck up. So, again, man. It was trending, the biggest event ever on HBO Max. Okay, so again, we look at these fucking trends by a significant margin. So we look at these trends, right? And again, I hate going back to these trends. Trends. I'm a trendy girl in a trendy world. Did you guys hear Aqua broke up? Dave and Bri next after that fight from this week. But again, look, so let me just pull this up again. So AEW Double or Nothing had the most of its interest was on Max. Okay. But Revolution topped that. We just looked at the Google trends. So I'm willing to bet you that the Google trends for Revolution on Max, the same way he typed in AEW Double or Nothing on Max. I bet you if you type in AEW Revolution on Max, I'm willing to bet that it's higher even than this number because it just trend overall higher. So Dave's like, the biggest success ever on Max. How the fuck do you know? Tone admits he doesn't even know the Max numbers. So how the fuck would you know that? And wouldn't Revolution have more than likely, if you're a betting man, trended higher on Google? And why does Google matter? Because Google's the number one fucking search engine. It's just built into your shit. Dave,
learn. Meltzer Inferno.
What are we talking about? Superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So
no logic applies to anything Dave says ever. Okay, then Revolution smoked is the greatest success ever on HBO Max, more than likely, and smoked it. If you're just using common sense and things that are palatable, so not invisible, we can't see shit, and you're just making it up stuff. And they did what do you want us to believe the pay-per-view buys were on HBO Max? Comparable to viewership numbers that the NBA gets for free? What did they do? Half the buys on Max, Dave? Like, what do you want? They did 100,000 of the 200,000 buys that you're lying about on Max. And when you combined all the fucking numbers and, NBA does 130K for a fucking playoff game or whatever, when they simulcast, I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass here like Davis, but it's like, what do you want me to believe? It just it doesn't make sense. So it's just offensive, dude. So let's just start grinding through this stuff. Oh, and I want to put over my AEW here. So Switchblade posts this. He says, going forward, it will be interesting to track search interest on my AEW during AEW pay-per-views. Clearly here we see my AEW peaks in interest on the day of a pay-per-view. So it will be a good indicator comparing pay-per-view against each other in terms of interest. So we'll be doing that in the future, and that rules. And clearly people internationally are like, oh, okay, I got to buy this fucking pay-per-view, my AEW. They're going to that. Good. That's that bonus points. Like, okay, good. Yes. Now they're gearing up to just have it. I could see like Amazon or something holding AEW pay, maybe not weekly Dynamite. But still selling the pay-per-views. Like, could Tone be booted off of fucking TBS TNT, but still like sell pay-per-views on all these outlets and also on my AEW? Yeah, for sure. For sure. And he should just promote the shit. I'd be promoting the shit. I'd have fucking MJF out there wearing a my AEW jacket. Right? I'd have people fucking waving that flag, like, come to my AEW. But on the day of the pay-per-view, it peaks. People are going there to watch the shit. If you make it cheap enough and accessible enough, people will go there. Okay? I wonder what the illegal search stream numbers were and shit like that, though, for the pirate ships. But, that's good for AEW. So there's a bonus right there. People are going to go to my AEW internationally right now to check out the pay-per-view. I'm sure if you made my AEW in the States, the YouTube numbers and all that shit would go down too. Right? And it doesn't mean there's all of a sudden a million brand new AEW fans, like Dave would say, and I bumblefucked through trying to explain, but it would mean that those people are going to go and pay for the pay-per-view directly on my AEW if it was available to them. I bet you take all those YouTube viewers. I bet you take most of them as well. So this is just a bonus little fucking trend there for my AEW. Good for them. It peaked on the day of the pay-per-view. Oh, that's a fucking really good thing. It means people went there to what? Go, oh, I can't watch it here. No, they probably knew that they could buy it there and bought it there. Good. And I hope they're fucking doing great numbers on my AEW. So let's just dive into shit. Okay. Cause this is about to get crazy here. Everybody hit like, hit subscribe, hit retweet, hit heart, support the show. Check out patreon.com/ProWrestleTimes. So Niccolo Piccolo posts this. He says, need help confirming these numbers before I use them for any conversion math. These are free YouTube 0-hour pre-show total views according to 2 AI engines cross-referenced. Which again, AI can fuck up. Luckily for Niccolo Piccolo, Switchblade, who he did have beef with at one point, they fucking aligned, dude. They did the handshake from the fucking movie. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
They did the GIF where they fucking aligned, and they did all of this to look at the peak numbers and all of this, right? Like Switchblade's been tracking them forever, as we've seen throughout this show and in the past, Time Cop. And they just felt Dave here with some pay-per-view numbers. So let's take a look. Here's Niccolo Piccolo. He wanted help confirming shit, so again, free pre-show views. So we're going back to 2024. Here's some numbers. Do I just break this all down? Holy shit. Do we have to read these whole charts? This is what I'm talking about. Like, you guys got to check this out. So Switchblade comes in. He's like, I tracked most of AEW pay-per-views on YouTube last year. Peak live viewership. Double or Nothing at 6.6K. All In had 9.6K. Forbidden Door had 5.2K. All Out had 2.1K. Wrestle Dream 1.6K. Now, I think after when did they roll out Max again? So, dude, look at that drop off to All Out, 2.1K, Wrestle Dream 1.6K, Full Gear 1.7K, World's End 1.9K. And we went over all of these and talked about how you know, Dave was trying to say World's End was like sold more than All Out and shit. Like he said all of these pay-per-views did better. And he was able to lie about that shit because of the Max stuff, because we don't really see it, you know? But these you know, this interest, like the interest of these fucking shows. Yeah, so after All In, I think Max is rolled out. So Forbidden Door 5.2, All Out 2.1. So does that mean, hey, we do fucking less than half the interest for this next pay-per-view? All of those people went to Max 100%. No. Definitely not. I mean, some people probably fell off. And especially when you look at the interest of these pay-per-view numbers, like on YouTube, that means some people fell off in between for sure. Does it mean that a good chunk of them went to Max and shit? Probably. Like, yeah, I would assume so. But does that mean that it's more people, like Dave says, and each pay-per-view's outselling the next and there's 15% more interest? Fuck no. If anything, it just means these people are spread out more thin. And there's no way you converted all of these people. Some of them just went, fuck it, I'm pirate shipping it, or I'm done AEW, like a bunch of people have done. Okay? So shout out fucking Switchblade for that. And Nicolo Piccolo wants to confirm these numbers. So we'll just move along, guys. Go and check out his Twitter, and we'll fucking like break down what we need to. So Nicolo Piccolo says, I'm trying to do this cleanly. First, I'm crowdsourcing the variable inputs, the actual Wrestling Observer pay-per-view estimates, which I don't believe any serious person takes seriously. No serious person takes it serious, Brett. And that's why I kicked your leg from your leg, Brett. Let's find out together. The platform stack for each pay-per-view event, which pipes were live at the transactional level, any evidence people have of a platform split. The whole point is to test the reported numbers would acquire across Triller, YouTube, payperview.com, cable, satellite, Prime, and Max. That's what I mean. Dave doesn't get all these numbers. Well, I can estimate them. Yeah, but you don't know what you're talking about is the problem. So, like, okay, if Tone is lying about not knowing the Max numbers but telling them to you, and if you know the My AEW numbers because he tells them to you, cool. But otherwise, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm going to apply those assumptions against the Triller lawsuit math, not pretending we have perfect carrier-level buy data. So, again, the Triller lawsuit math, we kind of went over this before. So here's Nick continues on cable satellite. There's real world evidence. AEW pay-per-views were sold through traditional providers at the transactional level. AEW's own pay-per-view page says AEW pay-per-views air on traditional cable on satellite providers in the United States and Canada, and separately lists providers including Dish Network, DirecTV, Sling TV, and traditional cable satellite providers. And don't forget PS Vista, Brian. There are also event-specific examples from the relevant period. Full Gear 24. Sling had a page telling users, okay, I imagine he did his homework, right? I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. You guys can fact check this. He's just providing how they track certain things. So the real world examples are Sling sold Full Gear through its rentals pay-per-view flow. Dish Network listed AEW as an AEW pay-per-view provider. DirecTV listed AEW as an AEW pay-per-view provider. Traditional cable satellite providers in the US and Canada are repeatedly listed by AEW itself. World's End was explicitly described by AEW as available on all traditional cable and satellite providers in the US and Canada. That's enough to establish cable satellite as a part of the transactional stack. Okay. So what is this here? AEW pay-per-view buy share estimates. So World's End 2024. So we're going back in time here. Triller TV, 30 to 40% of the buys. Cable satellite, 35 to 45% of the buys. Prime Video didn't exist. YouTube was accounted for 10 to 16% of the buys. Payperview.com, 4 to 8%. So what I'm interested in showing you guys here, I promise there's a point to all of this. Like, look, the YouTube buys kind of go down. And once they roll out Triller, Triller was already rolled out, but these are kind of increasing here, or maybe not actually, they're going down a bit, and which would make sense because Max was rolled out eventually, right? So this would sort of align with that. Like, people are going from YouTube to Max or perhaps Amazon or whatever, but there's not an explosion, a surge in fans 15% extra every fucking show, 30% magically on Amazon. Just because they're on Amazon, all of a sudden Dave goes, there's 30% more people, but that's just bullshit. And it has been for years now at this point. That's all this proves. Like, you could argue, okay, some of the YouTube people are leaving, and so the trends a couple years ago don't reflect one like directly as perfectly as it would just like year over year starting last year or now since Max was added or whatever. Okay, we could argue that all day. And yes, I'm willing to grant, yes, some people who used to watch Dynamite on TV started watching on Max, but was it a 100% conversion rate? No. And was it 150%, 200% conversion rate where fucking all the people who don't watch on TNT or TBS anymore are all watching on HBO? Like, no, dude. There's no human fucking possible way that's even possible. All right? So that just kind of backs that up. Okay? We move along here, and he says, can anyone confirm the platform stack? So let's see. He's just talking about what it was all available on. I'm trying to understand the AEW pay-per-view. I think we read that. Yes, we did. So, okay, so he's going to get into the Triller math. I believe we have his math somewhere. I have so many goddamn bookmarks of this stuff. So Dave Meltzer, again, this is last year. So 25 to 33%. Prime Video, 14 to 22. In fairness. And Dave was like 30%. He just started adding the 30%, right? So 14 to 22% is what Prime, as far back as 2025, is what Niccolo Piccolo's predicting. What they did, their share of the pay-per-view buys, okay? So we keep that in mind as well. So can anyone confirm these Wrestling Observer pay-per-view buys are correct? Right? So again, Dave had as far back as Revolution 24, 171 to 175,000 buys. So then Dynasty does less. Like, look at how it's just all over the place. It's way up, then it's way down, then it kind of goes up again, then it's way up, then it's kind of down, then it's way down, and then it's up again, it's up again. It's just a fucking anomaly. He just makes up what the interest is. You would think that when Dave... Okay, so why did 175,000 people buy Revolution but not Dynasty? It was just a weaker show. Like, how do you fucking quantify that? Then all of a sudden they just jump maybe for All In, like I'll believe they do 175. But what would make Revolution 24 do that much compared to All In? And then you look later, hopefully Nick has more of these. So, okay, these are the confirmed buys reported from Dave for 2024. So Dave for Revolution 24 had 180,000 buys, dude. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy, man. So what did Nick have? He had... So he did the math and he came up with 171,000 to 175,000. Dave had it 180,000. That's nutty. And then All In jumps up to 157,000. So even according to Dave, Revolution just buried All In. And I need to here. Okay, so let me think about this. When was Amazon added? When did Amazon start selling AEW pay-per-views? Because this will be telling too. In 2025. Okay, so this was before Amazon was even a thing. I really wish we had 2025 and 2026 numbers here. We're going so far back. Thanks, that's useful. Dave's splits, okay, the splits Dave's citing are completely different from what AEW says in its own complaint. Okay, 75-25 domestic net revenue in AEW's favor. And this is according to the Triller lawsuit. 65-35 international net revenue in AEW's favor. 60-40 AEW plus net revenue in AEW's favor. Not 90-10. Back in a few. So basically, they're proving here that they're laying out how Dave is essentially claiming they're doing a 90-10 split, but that's much different than anything they have set up according to their own lawsuit with Triller, right? So he's saying it won't be a clean 1-to-1. Again, if he's using, I would just be careful if you're using AI to do all this shit. AI can be off too. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Dave's using fucking AI to do math. So I don't know what this is from. This is just like a Simpsons fucking chalkboard meme, which I guess I did the thumbnail of. How apropos. So again, here's a chart where Dave Meltzer wrote out how in 2019, like Double or Nothing, when they had 1 million people watching on TV, Double or Nothing was doing like 98K buys. Now you fast forward to 2025, let's say, and Double or Nothing's doing 126K buys, according to Dave. But meanwhile, there's way less people watching on TV. The attendances are lower on average for the most part for Dynamites. Way lower. Doing some of their worst fucking ratings in history as far as key demo and ratings are concerned in regular time slots, when Dave keeps talking about, well, the ratings are higher because of Nielsen. Now they're lower because of Nielsen. So it's really like, which is it? You know, how are the pay-per-view conversions? And this is where that one gentleman that Dave blocked who made that pay-per-view conversions chart, he's like, dude, this doesn't even work. Like in the fucking prime, in WCW, Monday Night War, WWE Prime, when pay-per-view was pay-per-view and everybody just bought a fucking pay-per-view, right? And it wasn't like 17 different fucking places to stream or buy a fucking pay-per-view, and illegal streaming wasn't a thing. And people were buying fucking pay-per-views. Okay? The conversion rates were consistent over the years, and AEWs are not only an anomaly and wonky and they go up and then go down, but they have better conversion rates. And somehow way less people are going to the live shows, way less people are watching on TV, but they're doing like double the fucking buys a few years later, whatever the fuck, or 40,000 more buys. They want us to believe it's more popular than ever. When All In, they were doing less pay-per-view buys for some of these shows, according to Dave, when they're doing Wembley and shit. Where's All In? Or I guess maybe if this is All In, then 200K buys. Yeah, so he really boosted that one up. All Out, 95K buys. Like, what happened? So, like, you do Wembley, 81,000 people show up, but All Out does 95K buys. It just doesn't make sense, you know? So Dave's always been all over the place. I wish I had that chart from that gentleman who put it together that Dave blocked, because that really got in Dave's feelings, and it really pwned him. Like, when you just see it laid out, you're like, holy fuck, man, this guy's just clearly making this shit up. The trends, we covered all of that. So again, Nick's asking for help. I wonder, did I fucking okay, so this is 2025 buys. So again, we covered these, right? Like 140 for World's End and Full Gear. So all of a sudden, All Out, when it did its lowest YouTube viewers and it had the lowest interest on Google Trends, all of a sudden, and it was doing 98,000 buys the year before, all of a sudden, All Out, the interest in All Out is fucking almost 140,000 buys, some of the best in AEW history. Do you guys see this? Like, this is the estimated pay-per-view buys from Nicolo Piccolo, which I'm fucking just saying is straight bullshit. This has to be bullshit. The year before, well, at least according to Dave's estimates. So Dave's estimates were 98K. Who fucking knows? But yeah, the problem is that you can't just pull it from 10 different fucking streamers. There's no way to get an accurate number. And if anything, this is highlighting how Dave is fucking, because is this what Dave's doing? Is Dave just asking AI from fucking, 10 different fucking, comparing it to the Triller lawsuit and shit? I don't know if that's how you get the correct math on any of this. But again, though, I just don't believe for a second that All Out 25 that had lower, I remember like All Out 2025 was a focal point of PWT, or maybe, I was doing DMDMW at that point. I believe so. And it was a focal point comparing those pay-per-view numbers. It was one of the lowest trending. Like, it had no heat, it had no motion, it had no movement, it had no sauce. And fucking All Out 25 a year prior was doing 98K buys. You want me to believe they were doing 140, one of the highest besides All In, 185? Some of the highest fucking pay-per-view buys for All Out. I don't believe that for one fucking second. All Out is the deadest zero motion pay-per-view ever. As an AEW fan, people don't give a fuck about All Out. And Tone, it's like the scrap throwaway pay-per-view where Tone just books a bunch of matches for people that weren't on All In and shit. So Nicolo Piccolo posts this. He says, the complaint math I'm folding into this is straightforward but limited. AEW alleges an unpaid, underpaid Triller bucket covering Full Gear 24, World's End 24, Revolution 25, Dynasty 25, and AEW Plus revenue. The pleaded economics include a 75% domestic AEW share, a 65% international AEW share, 2% monthly interest on unpaid sum. Okay, whatever. $5 million, guys. Let's see here. Before running the YouTube only model, my own working assumption was that YouTube would present a higher share of the total AEW pay-per-view buy stack. World's End 10 to 16%, Revolution 9 to 14, Dynasty 8 to 13. The model came in lower than I expected. Using the middle range YouTube estimates against the publicly reported total pay-per-view numbers, YouTube looks closer to 10 to 11, Revolution about 7, Dynasty 25 about 8%. That does not mean the model is right. It may be too conservative, right? Let's see. Without carrier level reporting, level disclosure, territory splits. Yeah, exactly. We don't know. None of this is an actual conclusion to anything. So this guy here, Deadman, says the interesting part is great Brian Last has mentioned that most actual industry insiders think you're spot on. Even if not, everyone agrees with the manner in which you previously delivered your messaging. And so, and that's what I said to Nick as well when I interviewed him. I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure like some people in other, I don't know if they were agents. I just forget. It slips my mind. We need to go back in time and we talked about it, but other like agents or like sports people piped up when Nick first said some shit about the catering or whatever. And the sickos came after him. Like other people were like, no, this guy's not lying. Like he's spot on about that. I don't know if they were, I don't even know if he knows that happened, but it was like, no, dude, people had your back in that they just didn't dive into the fucking bickering with the sickos and they just backed you up. They didn't themselves go, oh yeah, the catering was shit or whatever, you know? And so that fucking, they didn't catch the brunt of any of the heat. It just all went to you. And I think some of it personally, this is my own opinion. I don't think Nick thinks this, and I don't know if anybody, but my opinion is, you know, like he repped who, like Miro, Jade, think about it, like Blake Monroe, or he reps them or repped. I don't fucking know if he still reps all of them. I'm sure he does, but you know, these are people that fucking Tone offered more money to stay, and they were like, no, they just don't want to work. They think he's a mark. So there's got to be heat. Like, who's helping them negotiate that? Was that not Nick? I don't fucking know. If it was, like, maybe he wasn't repping them at that time. I don't know, but that's Jade, that's Blake, that's Miro. Think about some of the names. There's other names too. I don't know if they're all public, right? I think he name dropped a bunch of fucking them, but you know, like we're talking fucking, you know, if Punk's up there and shit, you know, like look at Punk. He fucking smacked out the Bucks and left AEW. Think about that, man. Like he called Tony a clown and he quits. So Nick's right. You don't think there's heat there too? Like a personal, I think there is when it comes to Tone. Now I'm not saying Nick thinks that. I don't know if anybody else thinks that. That's what I think. That's what Phil Marks thinks. Okay. So he just says, this is fair to say, and I don't always agree with the manner I've delivered my message. But there you go. Brian Last is saying too, like industry people agree with him, and they fucking do, guys. Okay. I'm not a dirt sheet, but this is like, guess who they think is a goof? Meltzer, if any of them know who he is. Okay.
Oh my God. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
And Nick is not talking out of his ass. He shouldn't be dismissed. You don't have to like him. Again, I've said this a million times. You don't have to like the way he tweets. You don't have to like the way he talks. Some people were in the comments under the interview I did with him, and they were like, oh, he's better at tweeting and shit. He doesn't speak well and shit. And it's like, I don't know. I had no problem. I found the conversation interesting. And he does just go a million miles a minute. Like he's boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. It's a fucking, it's like he's like an Ari Gold guy. That's what I refer to him as. It's like, you ever see the show Entourage? Right? You see that, what's his name? What's his name in the show? Vincent Chase, right? And then his fucking manager is just like fucking quick, boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. You know, that's just what it is, man. He's wheeling and dealing, he's running and gunning, and he can just regurgitate this information like it's fucking nothing because it's his job to like know this shit. And so it's hard to keep up with, sure, but and you might not want to hear what he has to say or like what he's saying or whatever, but you should consider that it's coming from like an educated place, not just some bitter like, nope, I'm just gonna make all this up and make myself look stupid. You know what I'm saying? Why would that be what he does? You know? So all it would do is tank like any future, like his job is doing this, so it would just fuck up whatever, you know, if he wasn't good at it, he wouldn't have been featured in all of these magazine articles and all of these fucking things that he's been fucking featured in over the years, and he wouldn't have been with Paradigm as long as he fucking was. You know what I mean? So just put your feelings aside, and whether, you know, you feel like he's a tribalist or not, none of that shit fucking matters, okay? Listen to what he's saying, the content of what he's saying. And so full application of the model. I mean, I don't even understand this shit. Event, YT low, mid, high. So again, he's just laying out like the low, he considers the low, the mid, and the high of what YouTube could have done conversion-wise for the mass, for the mass number. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm redacted. I suck at talking about this shit. The total buys, okay, so you know, at the high end for Revolution 24 it'd be 20% or whatever. Again, man, I don't know if this necessarily dispels anything Dave had to say, though. I'd have to dive in way deeper. I'd have to, like, I hope there's a chart somewhere here that compares it to what Dave said. Like, what does Nick think the buys are, and what did Dave say the fucking buys are? You know, I'm really curious about that. But I think we read this one here. But you guys know that Dave is making up, and he doesn't consider any of this. But again, when it comes to MVP, MMA, or UFC, or TNA, he starts looking at Google Trends and YouTube numbers. Doesn't do it for AEW, though. And so Nicolo Piccolo just wants to clarify a few notes on what this chart is and is not. This is not a total AEW pay-per-view buys. It's not an audited YouTube sales data. It is not carrier level reporting. It is a YouTube only working model compared to two inputs: free YouTube 0-hour pre-show views versus reported peak live viewership on the paid YouTube pay-per-view stream. Okay. And YouTube is a good indicator. Why so much focus on YouTube, Phil? Well, because YouTube is the number fucking one streamer. Point fucking blank. So it's a good indicator of how popular some shit is, especially when you're just like putting pay-per-views on YouTube. Everyone is YouTube, right? And you know, even this show, people from Australia, Malaysia, fucking everywhere. We've had people from all over the world. We're pimping all over the world here at PWT. The P is for pimping all over the world. Sing it, hoes. The world, do, right? And YouTube's pimping all over the world, man, and everybody has access to it. So that's why it's just a good metric to look at, because it's just like widely available to everybody. Now, again, I don't know how much this does of dispelling anything Dave said, though, because I'm looking at some of these charts and I'm like, that's crazy numbers too. Like, I don't believe that even. So, you know, All in Texas 2025, the free pre-show views 500,000, the peak live views 9.6K on YouTube for the actual pay-per-view. And then it just drastically fell off. By two pay-per-views later, you have 144K watching the pre-show. And this is what's important. Yes, this is what I want to look at, is shit like this. So all in 500K. Then Forbidden Door goes down, right? 320K watching. Then Wrestle Dream, 144K. Then Full Gear, 276. So you mean to tell me that like this many people, like 400K, or let's be generous, like 300K people stopped watching YouTube in general, like don't even want to watch the free pre-show for Wrestle Dream? Like they just don't care about AEW that much? You know, that the one before, like this one does 200,000 less, then it's like fucking almost 200,000 less on the free pre-show views, like total views. That much interest in AEW just fell off. Like, what did people just quit YouTube altogether? And then look, the peak pay-per-view buys on YouTube, 1.6K, 1.7K, only went up a 0.1, and then this number's up like 130,000 free views on the Full Gear pre-show. So does that mean like all these people are just going to Max instead, or does it mean that like some people also just stop watching this shit? Just the same reason why the fucking attendances have gone down and the regular time slot TV viewers have gone down and shit. That's all I want to point out through all of this. You know what I mean? Like those numbers would sort of reflect that too, because nothing can be 100% conversion. And I just don't believe Dave's conversions. I don't know if I believe all of these conversions either. And Nick is flat out saying like this isn't 1-to-1. So don't think that's what he's saying either. So, yeah, again, we talked about how AEW, they laid out their splits. None of them are 90-10. Dave has alluded to possibly a 90-10 split. Here's Dave's pay-per-view numbers, which just don't add up. And, yeah, we talked about Switchblade. He tracked the peak viewers last year. And of course, after All In, it took their viewers like 2 fucking pay-per-views for this 5K or this 6.6K, 9.6K. We're on YouTube watching All In. So again, are they converting all of those fucking people over to Max and shit? Possibly, but it's definitely not increased in size, in my opinion. That's what she said. Oh, and neither has Dave's brain. It is, in fact, shrinking. And that's why I will forever felt Dave. That's why Niccolo Piccolo and Switchblade teamed up and formed the fucking mega powers to smash your pay-per-view numbers to oblivion. That's why there's about 250 people who are watching this goddamn show, and they're all definitely hitting the like button. And that's why Dave Meltzer is so the bad. Devil.
Dave is the devil. Oh.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer. Dumb moment of the week.
For, the young superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So,
guys, if you want to watch bonus episodes of Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week exclusive to only Patreon, go and sign up now, patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times. I'll put the link in the chat right there. Thank you all for being here. I will see you guys Saturday for Sicko Saturday. Be good. Go and watch Spider-Man Noir. Peace.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting intrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a US
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
Okay,
we
hold
know
on.
they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I
numbers for an
continue
afternoon.
this before you cut me off? We
Yeah,
know
go ahead.
one thing.
Yes. the thing.
We know it
No, I'm
might
not-
have done well because
I'm
it went
not-
on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win. just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.